Hello Year 10, welcome to your writing tip for today, which is all about how to lay out a letter. So what I'm going to go through today is actually not only important for your GCSE, but actually for your real life, isn't it? So anytime you apply for a job, for example, you'll need to know how to set out a formal letter in the way that is expected. So this is where we really see English giving us the skills for life to be successful. So it's really worth kind of knuckling down and nailing this in Year 10 so that you know how to apply for jobs and how to kind of get ahead in life. So here's how to lay out a letter. So in terms of the key ingredients that an examiner would expect to see, all they need is a bare minimum to show that you've understood this is a letter, is a dear and a yours. Okay, so you need to address it to somebody and you need to sign off from somebody else. That is the bare minimum that the exam board requires. So that is something that you could pass with. However, there are other key ingredients that I think could set us apart and, as I say, would be expected in the real world. So it's worthwhile learning it now. So I'm going to teach you where your addresses should go. So at the very least, you should put on the address of the person that you are sending this to, okay? But preferably you should put on your address as well. And I'm going to tell you where they should go. Another thing that we would expect to see on a letter is the date it was written. A third option, which is entirely optional, is that you might put a re line, and that tells us what the letter is regarding. Yeah, what's it in reference to? So there's two ways of remembering that, and just tells us the topic of your letter. And then finally, I'm going to tell you a kind of finicky rule about how to sign off. So when you're saying yours sincerely or yours faithfully, do you know the difference? And getting it right could really set you apart in the exam. So in terms of your addresses, this is the side that they need to go on. So top right at the very top of your page, but on the right hand side, so kind of the wrong way around that we normally start writing, is your address, okay, the sender's address. And the easiest way to remember that that comes first, I think, is that it tells you where this letter is coming from, and it comes from you, so you start with you at the top. And then you put their address on the next line on the left hand side. So the recipient's address, line underneath on the left hand side. And I think the way to remember that is that that's the side that you're going to write dear whoever. Okay, so their address and whoever you're addressing it to should come on the same side of the page. So your address top right, next line down, their address on the left, and you remember that because that's where you're going to put dear whoever. Next comes the date. Now that is where I would put my date. I would put it on the next line down, but back on the other side. However, your date could pretty much go anywhere and still be right. So another few options for your date could be the other side. So you could just stick from now on to that left-hand margin where we're comfortable, where we normally start writing. So if you just kept it on the left-hand side from this point on, you would not be wrong. Another option, however, that a lot of people use is that you might actually put it after your address. So put your address and the date all on the top right, and then move over to the left to write the rest of your letter. So 3 options there for you. They're all equally right. But as I say, this is my preference. Your address, their address, then the date. I like to have my addresses together. Okay, so after that, you're up to dear. Now, there are 2 ways of addressing a letter, aren't there? So you either know who you're sending it to or you don't. So in green here, we have an option if you know who it's going to. So Dear Joe Blogs or Dear Minister for Transport. In your option today, you're going to write to the Minister for Education. So you'll be putting Dear Minister for Education. However, if you're not sure who it's going to, you either put Dear Sir or Madam, or to whom it may concern. Now, my personal preference out of these red options is Dear Sir, Madam, because that's a little bit more formal, isn't it, than to. So dear rather than to. So that's the one I would go with if in doubt. Now, because those are 2 different options, it gives you 2 different sign-off options. So I've color-coded how to kind of pair those up correctly. So if you know who it's going to, if you can use their name or their job title and it's for a specific person, then you are being sincere. Yeah, it is sincerely meant for that person. So you're sincerely if you know who it's addressed to. If you're hoping for the best that it ends up to the right person, to whom it may concern, or some anonymous sir or madam, you're having a bit of faith, aren't you, that it's going to end up with the right person. So yours faithfully if you haven't actually put a specific person in the address. So please make sure that you're getting that right. If you are writing to the Minister for Education in your letter, then you should be signing off yours sincerely. It's not a name, but it is one person, so you know exactly who it is. As I said, your last option for a letter is your re line. So that would come under your dear before you start your proper letter. and you would just put what your letter's about. So, for example, re why dogs are better than cats. I'm not sure why I would be writing to the Minister of Education about that, but there it is. Okay, so this slide here has everything you need to set out your letter correctly. So please make sure you do. Good luck.